Okay, so let's start working with the control statements and array. Like while you start working with the program of say some marks we would like to entry, and we will like to find out the average of the marks or the summation of the marks using a concept of array. So let's do some basic programming to get familiar with the structure of array, so that the next program we can do integrating array and functions together. So we'll be doing a small program on array, say marks.c. Suppose we'll just consider the marks of few students, and then we will start making the sum of the marks using the concept of array. So we'll open VI editor. Let me increase the size a little bit. So is it visible to everyone, correct?
Yes, sir.
So now we will what you will do, we will start writing an application using the concept of array. So how to start writing the application, as I told you, in this particular programming language, we will always start with the header file. So header file is nothing but hash include stdio.h. So that is called the standard header file. stdi.h, and after that we will take main function int main, and while you start working with main, as I told you even in the last class, always start with the bracket and you have to end with the bracket. So first what we will consider, we will consider those marks. Let's the marks become int marks. Consider in that manner. Say suppose you're giving a size, say 5. So we'll declare our integer array. This is the way, and we will also take some variable int I. Simply write it as I, as we have already declared in. And initially we will take the value of the sum is equal to 0. So this is how you can write any specific application on C, and it should terminate with a semicolon. So we have taken an array size 5. We have also taken some variable I in, and we keep the sum is equals to 0. Initializing the value is equal to 0. After that, what you have to do, first we have to take the value from the keyboard. So we will have printf that enter the number of student, enter the number of students. So we'll be taking the number of students whose value marks we would like to consider, and then what you will do, you will scan the same. So scanf, what you have to use, we have done it in the last class, we have to use percent of d, as we are working with integers, and obviously we have the number. So the number we can take it as ampersand of n is the number of students. We have already considered n earlier. We have declared the value of n. So now we will use a control statement. So this is one of the control statement used in C, like I equals to 0 and we will take lesser than n, that is the condition, and followed by that the corresponding increment operator. So this is the structure of for loop. It's there in all the programming languages. So initialize I is equals to 0, condition I lesser than n, and the corresponding increment. So this is how basically we work with any of the for loop. So now what you have to do, you have to first give a print statement. We will use indentation as per the requirement. That looks good. Actually, it makes the code more structured, more professional. Enter marks of the student. So we will enter marks of the students. So close it with a semicolon, and we will also use a scanf to scan all those marks. So for that, what you have to do, you have to give percent of D, and you have to use an ampersand of the corresponding array. This is how you see inside a library function, we are considering the corresponding array. So this is obviously a very good programming style, and ultimately what we have to do, we will make a summation. So once you will start making a sum, so sum equal to sum plus marks. So we will just write in that way, equal sum equal to sum plus marks, and we will just take the array we have already considered over here, I, and that's it. And ultimately this is the end of your for loop. So once you are ending the for loop, this is how we will do it. Close your for loop, and ultimately we will give another print statement, and in that print statement what you have to write, you have to write the sum which is obtained now. So sum equal to, we can write, it's nothing but percent of D, and you have to call the corresponding sum, and we will close, and finally return 0, and you can close that specific function. So what we did starting from the beginning, we have taken the marks, 5 marks, and followed by that with an integer array, we have taken sum equals to 0, and then we are taking the values from the keyboard, the number of students, and then we will take the marks associated with that particular student. So this is how basically we will do. And once you are working with the corresponding students marks, so for that we have to execute one for loop. We did that. So I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and we have taken the marks of the student, and then you have to scan that particular marks. And this is how we did it. We scan with the help of %d, as it is integer, and we have taken the corresponding array over here. That's very important thing. And finally what we did, we have taken the sum, that is equal to sum plus marks. So we would like to get the sum of all the students. Suppose there are 5 students, so 5 marks will be entered, and then it will make the sum of all the 5 marks, and finally it is going to print the same. So now we will compile and we will see any error is there with the code. Let's compile. CC followed by marks.c. And then you have to use dot a dot slash a dot out. So suppose we have taken 3 students, into the marks of 3 students, marks of student, say 34, 45, 65. So ultimately you are getting the sum of the marks. So it's showing the correct result.